Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good evening and welcome to the 1904 Lounge ahead of tonight's very important Sky Bet Championship game between the Tigers and Nottingham Forest. We are just over an hour away from kickoff, each game getting bigger than the last. And before we look ahead to the game, before we have the quiz here in the lounge, and before all the announcements that I have to bring you this evening, I have probably the biggest one we have so far of the season. Firstly, could I welcome you to the stage, the club ambassador of the Tigers, Mr. Dean Windass. But that announcement wasn't really for you, because I'd like to introduce you now to a very special guest, a man who played over 400 games for our visitors, Nottingham Forest tonight, scored over 60 goals. One of those was in the 1991 FA Cup final. Whenever you think of a hero in an England shirt, this man is right up there, and representing the country on no less than 78 occasions, the epitome of a proper tough tackling defender. Please would you welcome Stuart Pearce. Firstly, Stuart, welcome to Hull. Are you a bit stiff after your game at the weekend? Because you turned out for a team that were rated, what were they, the worst in Britain?
Yeah, we are. We played, before Saturday we played 17 games, lost every game. Minus 179 was our goal difference. And we managed to get a credible 1-0 defeat at the weekend. I played 45 minutes, and it could be my last 45 as well.
I was going to say, there's a bit of a hobble towards coming onto the front tonight. Regards Nottingham Forest, of course, the team that you're famous for playing for many, many years down at the City Ground. It's all changed again in the last few days. It's never really been right since Brian Clough, has it?
No, as I say, it was a tough one to follow, Brian. You know, anyone that wins back-to-back European Cups and had the success that we did in the back end of the 80s and 90s is a tough act to follow. I think Frank Clark come in after him and done quite well, took us into Europe. But at this moment in time, like a lot of teams that have come out with Premiership history, are finding it difficult to get out of this league. It's a very difficult league to get out of. That's why I've got the ultimate respect for the likes of Brucey and Daichi that have come out of it and pushed their teams back to get in again.
Because of course the fans will be getting itchy feet. They'll want to get back to the good times, which of course Forest were famous for doing in the 70s and 80s. And of course the chairman and the board are probably thinking the same. They've got to crack on and rewrite another chapter in Forest history. Yeah,
I mean, that's easier said than done, you know. I went in and managed the team, I think 2 years ago now, a couple of summers ago, and first thing I said to everyone at the club, the staff and everyone, you have to build a football club from the bottom, you know, and I think too many of these football clubs at present, especially ones in the Championship, want to fix the roof first before they put any foundations in, you know, and that can be a dangerous game to play.
You mentioned Cloughie earlier on there. Of course, you played under him many, many times. You must get asked this all the time, and I'm sure they'll all be dying for me to ask you this. When you first came across Mr. Clough, how was he with you?
Daunting's the word I'd use. Probably my first conversation with him was in regard to contracts. I'd come from Nottingham Forest. He paid 200 grand for me. He proceeded to ask me where I was going on holiday that summer. I told him I was going on holiday to Florida with a friend of mine called Barney. He asked me whether Barney was a fella. I said yes. Then he asked me whether I was a puff. And the conversation meandered on from there, and I thought this could be an interesting time. I was very lucky to have 8 years with him, you know, and 7 as his captain. So he's a wonderful man to work for.
And you've had many memorable moments. I'll ask you to pick your first one as a Forest player and second as an England player.
Probably the second one first will be easy, captain in my country. It means a great deal to me to represent England, and always did, but to actually go out and play for them and captain them was special. With Forest, and probably, you know, Dean's got a connection with this football club that runs deeper than just playing for them. It's more of an emotional one, and probably my time at Forest after getting relegated from the Premier League and Roy Keane left the club and Nigel Clough left the club, I decided to stay and we got promoted, and I scored a goal at Peterborough away, which got us the point we needed to bounce back again. And that day was, it meant a deal to the club and to myself probably. So not a goal at Wembley or a trophy at Wembley, but something that probably meant a little bit more emotionally to everybody connected with Forest.
Dean, have you ever been up against Stuart?
Yeah, played against him a few times. Played against him when he was at West Ham. You knew what you were going to get. But he suited me, to be fair. You kick him and he kicked me, and didn't bother about it. Roy Keane was the same when I played against Roy at Man United. Didn't moan or didn't ever go at you because you knew you were going to get a kick back. So, but no, listen, as a kid growing up, watching Stuart for England and the passion that he had for the game. So you look at people like him, we won't be able to play nowadays because it's a non-contact sport now. But no, full respect, and as you say, being friends over the years.
Now then, we got an unexpected 1 point against MK Dons on Saturday. A little bit of a blip. There are teams about us who are having bigger blips. One of those who play on Friday night, of course, Middlesbrough. Forest have had one at the moment. They're going through a poor run of form. They've got management issues. Middlesbrough have got management issues. This is a massive 4 days for us, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously Dougie's just lost his job, and Karanka's just come back into a job on Friday. But tonight's an important night for us. It might define our season either to go automatic or in the playoffs. Certainly in the playoffs, obviously. But I think tonight's a massive game, and we've got to win the game to get back on track. Because I just said to Stuart, obviously he wasn't here on Saturday, and it wasn't good enough. I can't stand here after games and speak to you and and defend what we saw on Saturday, and I'm sure that Steve was the same. So, Forest got beat by Sheffield Wednesday 3-0. Obviously Dougie loses his job. Willow and Reedy's obviously taking temporary charge at the minute. Obviously you're going to get a reaction from the players. The players will be upset that Dougie's lost his job, but Stuart will tell you, when you're a manager, players move on very quickly, and I think that they'll play 4-5-1. I don't know if Stuart will know the team, which he probably won't, but normally teams come here and play 4-5-1. So we're going to have to be patient, and the crowd on Saturday booed us off, and rightly so. Let's hope they can get behind us tonight.
So what do you think the team has to do tonight that was different from Saturday?
Take your chances. We've been struggling to score goals of late. Defensively we're fine. But you've got to put the ball in the back of the net, and Akpom missed an unbelievable sitter, I thought, in my opinion, as an ex-centre forward. When the ball comes over, I've scored before I headed it. But that's a confidence thing. And Andes, again, hasn't scored in the last 4 or 5 games. So it's another confidence thing for him. So whatever team tonight we play, I'm sure that he'll play 4-4-1-1. When balls come in the box, centre forwards have got to get in the box.
Stuart, how often are you watching Forest at the moment?
I personally think it's a good time for Hull to play Forest. I think that a new manager's taken over, but from someone from within the football club rather than an outside influence that's going to have real impact. I think tonight probably the first goal is going to be vital. I think Forest, the whole of this season, when they get that first goal and got something to hold on to, they're a tough nut to crack. So I think whichever team gets the first goal in this will be very important. I think if Hull can get the first goal, I think Forest confidence will get a bit ropey.
Well, we can certainly get the shots away. Saturday proved. It's just that none of them seem to end up on target. We get that right, we could get a few. How do you see it going tonight, Dean? And give me that famous bad score prediction.
Well, I agree with Stuart, I think, and I actually say this at every home game. We obviously, Stuart, we've only lost one here this season. Won one and drawn one. Lost one and drawn one. So I think it determines who gets the first goal. If Forest get the first goal, it could be a long night, and then the supporters will get frustrated, like they did on Saturday. So that's what their coaching staff will be saying. If we can get an early goal, stay in the game as long as they can. But if we score early doors, then obviously they've got to change the way they play to get a goal back, and then that's when the pitch opens up. So I'm just going to go for a 1-0.
1-0's fine. Obviously not for you, but for us that would be fantastic.
Well, listen to what he's going to say in a minute.
What do you think?
I think 2-0 to Hull.
Really?
I really do. I think it's a good time to play Forest. A bit of upheaval at the football club. And they've got 1 or 2 injuries in Forest camp. Oliveri, if he's missing tonight, has got the goals. where Forest have fell down this year is putting the ball in the net with Asabalonga being injured and Oliveri possibly being out now, that they struggle to score.
Well, thanks for your honesty and thanks for being here tonight. It's a great pleasure to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Dean Windass and Stuart Pearce. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, thank you very much.